Women, life, freedom. A rallying cry that is only growing stronger as protests in Iran enter their 6th week. Sparked by the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini, who died in the custody of Iran's notorious morality police in September. But as the regime intensifies its brutal and deadly crackdown on protesters, it's also scrambling to control the narrative, jailing at least 40 journalists since protests first began, according to the CPJ.
These are just estimation. I'm sure the correct tally is over 400. Several of the cases of these journalists that we have covered, as soon as they reported about those news on their Twitter channels, the next day they were arrested.
And just walk me through the tactics being used by the Iranian regime. How are journalists in Iran being repressed?
Security forces usually raid the homes of journalists after midnight in order to create an environment of scare and fear. They usually transfer these journalists immediately to solitary confinement. In most cases, they don't let the journalists have access to lawyers.
Much of Iran's media is under state control, with journalists who reject the state's narrative facing harsh penalties. Among them, Niloufar Hamidi, one of the first journalists to break the story of Amini's death in Iranian media.
We know that Niloufar Hamidi has been held in solitary confinement.
Here in London, journalists at the pro-reform news outlet Iran Wire, which has been working with CNN to cover the ongoing protests, are meticulously documenting the detention of journalists in Iran.
One of them needs to be confirmed.
It's a growing list, with a concerning lack of clarity on where many of these journalists are being held. Among them are citizen journalists, bravely documenting the regime's crackdown on their phones and on social media.
So for us, citizen journalists inside the country are the most important colleagues we have. And without them, we would not be able to operate. These are the people who risk their lives in order to report.
With internet blackouts being used by the Iranian authorities as a tool to stem the spread of information, the role of journalists on the ground, bearing witness to atrocities perpetrated by the Iranian regime, is growing more important and more dangerous. Neda Bashir, CNN, London.